there's definitely, they just keep doubling down. The Tufts food compass we talked about last time, it just gets dumber and dumber every time. Like I'm just hoping that it gets so dumb at some point that like at some point, common sense, like please, like a fried egg is not worse for you than a name brand sugar cereal. Like give me a break. Anyway, the twin study, we see the data, LDL cholesterol goes down by a little bit, no real evidence that that's a good thing or a bad thing. HDL cholesterol goes down. We know that's a bad thing. Triglycerides go up. We know that's a bad thing. They don't highlight
Right.
those. The glucose did go up, even though fasting insulin did go down. They collected information somehow about telomeres, which I don't know exactly what they
They
did.
haven't published on that yet. That's related, supposedly, questionably related to longevity, but I think they will have a paper coming out saying that the vegan diet contributes to longevity. That's my expectation.
They argue that in the documentary. And I don't know how they can even claim that, but like they present the data from the group to the whole group and it's all feigned. You can tell like this is made for Netflix. It's not like them receiving the clinical data. And they show that telomere length lengthened in 8 weeks, in just 8 weeks on a vegan diet where on the omnivore group it stayed the same. And again, I don't know how you measure that. I don't know what it says, even what that tells us. But then you cut to the twins, and the omnivore twin is like, wow, my telomeres are getting shorter. It's like, no, they didn't say they were getting shorter. They just said they stayed the same. It's ridiculous. So let
And
me.
is that even meaningful?
Is it
Yeah.
meaningful? Yeah. They ignore all the meaningful things to talk about all the things that we really don't know about: the LDL cholesterol, the weight loss, the microbiome, all that stuff. I'm going to save you 3 hours, Nina. It's 4 episodes long. They're 45 minutes each. I watched the last episode yesterday and just scribbled down some notes. Your beloved mayor
You're a
made a
trooper,
cameo.
Casey.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
impressed.
We're not going to go over all of these, but I just want to like bring up a few things that I noticed. Again, this is not the study. Now we're talking about the documentary. This is what people see. They don't go digging for the study.
Right.
This is what is
Right.
pretty and is
Right.
on TV.
Nobody's reading the study supplement like you and I did.
Exactly. Exactly. One of the big things that comes out in this is the animal welfare thing. And I think you and I and pretty much everybody who is involved in eating food really cares about how our food is prepared, about the industrialization of the food system. As a carnivore myself, I care a lot about where my food comes from. I try to do the best I can. It's not always perfect, and I understand the
Yeah.
systems are bad. This has nothing to do with the study, but here we see that ideological BS come in of them showing CAFOs and the pig farms and chicken farms. All of that is very apparent in this documentary that doesn't have anything to do with the study.
Yeah. Well, I think that this goes back to, I'm not an expert in animal welfare issues, but uh, I just wanted it makes. I think that all these other issues, like the way they treat cows, the way that they treat the migrant laborers, all these other issues are designed as ways to nudge people towards, away from meat. And I just want to read to you some what I found on Christopher Gardner's Stanford website, that what his group is researching into stealth nutrition, which he defines as using non-health related arguments such as animal rights to nudge people towards veganism. So they are trying to figure out how to inspire behavioral change to improve attitudes towards around adopting more plant-based diets in different populations over time. So they're using these tactics very, knowingly. These are stealth is actually the word on the website, stealth tactics to try to touch people in a place in their heart where they feel moved to stop eating meat. It's very, compelling. Like, I see the pictures of the cute little lamb faces, and I don't like it moves me too. And there's now, I think, a film where the girl is saving the lamb and running away from the farm, and she's, we're all moved by those images, and nobody wants to kill animals. But I think you talk to any, there's a lot of arguments here, and I don't consider myself an expert, but just talk to any farmer. They'll tell you, if there's no market for meat, there are no animals. It's not like farmers are going to keep them around as pets. What do you think happens to that lamb? That lamb, after we've eaten all the existing animals, there's just no more. So there are no more cute little lambs, and there are no more sweet cows. And then, and we need those animals for to have ecosystems that function. We need those animals for multiple reasons. And this is to be human. I mean, it like if you were a tiger, nobody would say like, for the planet, please move to a plant-based diet. That's just not how a tiger lives. And it's the same for humans. Like our biology, our mitochondria, our cellular structure, we are omnivores, if not mainly carnivores. That is our biology. That is our history. We feel very uncomfortable with it because nobody likes killing. And in fact, most societies had, rituals to try to, I mean, if you look at the American Indian culture, or even, like Jewish cultures, the whole idea of blessing the meat, blessing the animal. Anybody who's read the Bible knows about this. Like, there are ways to try to reconcile oneself with the loss of life to survive. And that's how humans have always dealt with this. And, it's not pretty, but that's part of our humanity. We can't pretend to be butterflies. Like, that's just not, we're not butterflies.
That's right.
So that's why, to me, like, veganism is a little bit of like, they're like a little bit flat earthers. Like, they're just not reckoning with the physical biological realities of our world. And it's just so deeply naive. But
Yeah.
anyway, that
Those,
was,
and those are important questions to ask. And as humans, we should grapple with those things. It's just inappropriate to put those images into a documentary that's all about health and biology, like you said, the things that we need as humans. Several different companies are featured. They got somebody in Gardner's. I think one of their students like branched off and started their company, which is like plant-based ham. They kept showing how they're making like plant-based ham and trying to make it taste good. Pat Brown is featured. You mentioned Beyond Meats. He's in charge of Impossible Burgers. Another company that does plant-based cheese. It's just this like nice commercial for all of these different companies,
yeah.
and
I've
baked
been
into
to
the whole. What's that?
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Nothing. No, I
Oh,
mean, it's like, and it's funded by a guy who invests in plant-based companies. So, I mean, maybe those are advertisements for companies he's invested in. Who knows?
absolutely. And the same message about planetary health comes in, and it's so just baked in and assumed. And one guy's like, I think if you were to ask most humans, they would really not want to destroy the Earth. So it's like, great. I'm like sitting here watching this, and like this guy's like, well, you wouldn't want to destroy the Earth now, would you? Like, come on.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so inconsistent. There's so many things I could talk about. Michael Greger, of course, makes an appearance. All of these health experts that are experts in plant-based diets, they have the look about them that we all know that's just not really all that healthy. We talked about the muscle loss. There's even like sneaky things, like they're talking about like TMAO and levels, and how TMAO levels in vegans dropped and it stayed the same for omnivores. It cuts to the twins, and one of the twins is like, wow, I didn't know my blood pressure was related to diet. Like, I thought I could only control that by stress. And it's like nobody said anything about blood pressure. We're not talking about blood pressure. Why would you put that quote literally sandwiched in the middle of talking about TMAO? That's a different thing.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's, I think, another thing about doing a study as a documentary, where it doesn't go through peer review. You can say whatever you want. You don't have to subscribe to any standards of science. You're just throwing it out there, and it's a documentary. Nobody is reviewing the science in a documentary.
Yeah.
People who watch documentaries don't we don't really realize, how much they are orchestrated to portray a certain narrative. A TMAO, by the way, is a phony, has been tried. It's been like, they have tried to pin that on red meat as raising your TMAO, but TMAO is a metabolite. I wrote about this too. The guy at, I think it's the Cleveland Clinic, who came up with the whole idea of TMAO. He was that whole effort was funded by a Procter and Gamble grant, and they all owned the patents to the technology to measure TMAO. Like, it was really a corrupt. The whole thing seemed to be corrupted by this pharmaceutical interest. But TMAO, the metabolite, has been found to be much, much higher. It's measured in humans much higher but after eating fish and certain vegetables. So The idea that it's like uniquely the product of red meat, or that it's even bad for you, I think is highly debatable.